Feel good.
Welcome to The Reasons We Smile with Dr. Kvitko, the show that brings you man-on-the-street interviews, celebrity guests, groundbreaking research, and heartwarming stories about the reasons we smile. Our show is also known as everything you've always wanted to know about dentistry, but were too numb to ask. Hello, I'm General Dentist Dr. Kvitko, and thank you for joining me today.
The following views and opinions do not necessarily reflect those of this station, its staff, management, or parent company. To hear a replay of this show or one of the great shows that previously aired, log on to thereasonswesmile.com or iTunes, keyword Dr. Kvitko or The Reasons We Smile. Listeners should not use Dr. Kvitko's comments and advice in place of an actual dental exam.
Brighten your life with a smile that shows the professional touch of Dr. Kvitko.
Time now for The Reasons We Smile with Dr. Kvitko. Call 459-9769 to discuss your dental issues. Now, here's your host, Dr. Kvitko.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to The Reasons We Smile. I'm Dr. Kvitko. Thank you so much for joining me. This is episode 608. So if you're a new listener, you've missed a few. You can access those by going to thereasonswesmile.com. And so all past episodes are there. If you'd please go to my office Facebook page and like us, that would be awesome. It's Dr. Kvitko and Associates. Also, you can follow me on Twitter. It's at Dr. Kvitko. And we're streaming live on Facebook. Okay, the title of today's show is The Dentist Said What? Clarifying Dental Terminology is what we're going to try to do today. I want to congratulate the Buckeyes for their win yesterday. They're now 2-0, so that's really cool. And also, I want to let you know that in about 10 minutes, you're going to have a chance to win free flowers from DeSantis Florist. All right, so just listen. That's going to be an easy question. It should be easy enough to figure out even if you weren't listening, but I'd rather you listen. Okay, so like I said, today we're going to clarify some dental terms. And so really what it comes down to is, when you're in dental school, we talk in formal terminology. But then when you get out of dental school, I talked to Dr. Edmonds about this a while back, you have to use words that the patients typically use. And so a good example, the best example, we talked about it, was I might say that you need a crown, and you might know that as a cap. Now, I don't know where the word cap came from. I guess capping something off, like capping an oil well, is placing something on the end, and putting a crown on a tooth is doing the same thing. So maybe that's where it came from. But crown and cap are the same thing. I've actually had people ask me, which one do you do? Do you do caps or do you do crowns? It's like, well, they're the same thing. So, and we also talked about, Dr. Edmonds and I, that a tooth might need endodontic therapy, or for short, at the office we call it endo. Oh, by the way, endo means inside. So in this case, inside a tooth. So the endosperm, for example, would be inside. But anyway, endodontic therapy is a root canal. That's what you would know it as. And by the way, a root canal isn't me cutting off the root of your tooth. I actually have had several people ask me that. They think it's surgery where I'm going to cut off the root end. And it's like, no. The tooth's hollow. We just go in the inside, take out the creamy filling, so to speak, and put our new creamy filling in, which is better. We take out the nerves and the blood vessels, and then we put in this rubbery material called gutta percha, along with a sealer. So yeah, endodontic therapy is what you know of as a root canal. Okay. Now, I might say you need a removable complete prosthesis. You might say, what? If I said you need a complete denture, you would understand it more. But even that, some people refer to a complete denture as a plate. I want to get a new plate. And I don't know where that came from. I should have looked it up, but I don't know where it came from. I might say that you need an interim removable partial denture. Interim removable partial denture. Well, it means it's a temporary. It means it comes out of your mouth, and it means it replaces just a couple of teeth, one tooth, or just a few. It doesn't replace them all, and that is what most people refer to as, and a lot of dentists refer to as, a flipper, because it kind of flips out sometimes. Now, when somebody comes in and they're going to need a tooth removed, we refer to it as an extraction. And you might think of, I was thinking the word extricate. To extricate somebody from a car. That's something that firemen do. They use the jaws of life, for example, to cut open the roof of a car, like in Kevin Hart's accident. The people that were in the car, they had to extricate them. So this sounds a lot like extract, although that's not the word they use, but we use the word extraction. But when I say to I have people come in oftentimes, and they'll come in and they'll say, okay, so now, first of all, they tell us they have a toothache or whatever, and we get an x-ray or two, and I say, so what do you think you need? And they'll say, I want it yanked. So they came in for a yanking, apparently. Came in for we're going to yank their tooth. Hey, but it gets the point across. At least I know. All right. So, okay, now I may say that you need a dental implant, and you may hear me say a screw, because I talked to somebody just last week. In fact, they're scheduled for an implant coming up, I believe, next week, and they say, now you're going to put the screw in my mouth, right? And it's like, what? Well, you're going to screw in that thing that's going to be a tooth. And I go, I know what you're talking about. Now, the reality is, and I explained this to him, is yes, the implant does get rotated in, it does get screwed in, but when I say screw, or I think of a screw, I'm thinking of a wood screw with those very aggressive, threads, and you screw something into wood, and it's in there by the tightness of the screw, and that's what keeps it there. A dental implant, yes, it has to be screwed in so that it at least starts off a little bit snug, but that's not what keeps it there. If it weren't for the bone cells growing up to it, it would not stay. It would actually fall out, or we'd have to take it out. So it's not really a screw, but it gets screwed in, and we call it a dental implant. Now, as a side note, implants are made of titanium, so we get the question oftentimes, can I still have an MRI, a nuclear magnetic resonance imaging, the magnetic part? Because if you put a bunch of metal in somebody that's magnetic, well, then they can't have a magnetic resonance image, MRI. So anyway, they're not magnetic, so that's cool. They're also not very big, so they don't trip the airline or the airport metal detectors. Okay, you don't have to worry about that. If you have a ton of them, you might want to take an x-ray with you in your pocket. Another one would be if I say, okay, you need a composite filling here, composite restoration. Well, that's what you might call a tooth-colored filling. Okay, the tooth-colored fillings are more plastic, they're resin, but I would say, well, what is composite? I'll say, well, composite is itself. It's not something else. It's funny to say that, but metal's metal, right? So you hear about aircraft being made out of lightweight composites, or anything that's made out of a lightweight composite. It's the same material. In aircraft, they mix a carbon fiber throughout, and it makes it stronger, but it is a composite resin, or you might know it as a tooth-colored filling. Okay. Now, to be honest, they make blue composites. We use that for building up teeth under crowns. We do it that color so that we can see it. We can see the difference between where the tooth starts and stops, and we can make sure that we get the crown margin, or the edge of the margin, or the margin of the tooth, where it comes together with the crown, to be just on tooth rather than on filling. We'd rather it not be resting on just filling, at least around the edges where the cement goes. Okay? So, impacted tooth is oftentimes a tooth that you didn't even know you had because it's buried below the gum and bone. So we refer to impacted wisdom teeth. And the question always comes up, well, what's the difference between an impacted tooth and an unerupted tooth? Well, an unerupted tooth is a tooth that just hasn't come in yet, but all evidence is that it's going to. So when we take an x-ray, the tooth is developing just fine, it's lined up just fine, and it's just a matter of time as the young person ages for that tooth to erupt. So that's unerupted. And one that is crooked, laying sideways, growing out, growing backwards, growing down. You should see all the things we see. If it's never going to come in, we call that impacted. So I thought that was a good one to clarify. Okay, so here's one. Now you'll hear me talk, and when we have people in the chair and we're doing their initial assessment. In fact, I've started to warn people because we're going to throw out a lot of verbiage, a lot of terminology that the person may not know, may not recognize, and it begins to make people nervous because they're thinking that everything I'm saying is a problem. Like there's a cavity here, there's a broken tooth there, there's an abscess there. And to be honest, the reality is more often than not, that's not it at all. What we're doing is we are charting the mouth. We're writing down what fillings a person has, maybe what root canals they have, what posts and cores they have, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. just anything that's already been done, whether it's an implant, or they have had their wisdom teeth out. So we're going to throw out terms like MODBL composite on tooth number 3. Well, what does the M stand for? The M stands for mesial. What does mesial stand for? It stands for towards the midline. So if you look in your mouth at the beginning, at the upper front, between the two front teeth, that's the only place in your mouth where two mesial surfaces touch. Same thing on the bottom front teeth, by the way. So the right side, if you're at your upper right front tooth of the front tooth, that what would be considered kind of the backside, that's called the distal, towards the distal of the mouth. Okay? O stands for occlusal, and we use that term because it's the biting surface of your tooth, and it's what you do when you occlude your teeth together, when you close your mouth. You occlude it. Well, we call that surface the occlusal. So we have mesial, or M for mesial, O for occlusal, D for distal, and the next one we have is B for buccal. Now B for buccal, there's a muscle in your cheek called the bucconator muscle, and so we refer to the side of the tooth that faces the cheek as the buccal. We refer to the side of the tooth that faces the tongue as the L for lingual. That's pretty obvious, right? So MODBL is mesial, occlusal, distal, buccal, lingual. It's all of the surfaces of the tooth. Okay. Before we put a crown in, you're going to hear me call out the word CBU. This person needs a CBU and a crown. CBU stands for crown buildup. And I mentioned how we use sometimes even blue composite resin to build up a tooth before a crown, right? So we can see the difference, the contrast. So we have to build a tooth up before we put the crown on it, because if we just prepare the tooth for the crown over the old filling, chances are it's decayed under there. Chances are that filling is old and weak and maybe even has cracks in it. So not a good plan, especially if you're going to spend that much money on a crown. You want to make sure that there's nothing bad happening underneath. Okay, and we call that a CBU. And sometimes we put pins in, and we're going to talk about those in a little bit. So we're about time to do Dr. Kvitko's question of the day, and you're going to have a chance to win free flowers from DeSantis Florist. But you might want to remember that a crown is also known as a cap, that when I say dental implant, you might think of as a screw, and that a composite resin filling is just a tooth-colored filling, okay? Before we do the contest, though, we'd like you to listen to this.
This station will not be held liable for any contesting during The Reasons We Smile with Dr. Kvitko. Participation in the contest allows Dr. Kvitko to record and broadcast your name and call. One winner per household. Prizes are non-transferable, cannot be substituted, and are subject to taxes and fees. This station cannot be responsible for the inability to enter the contest, whether due to equipment malfunction or telephone difficulties. All decisions of Dr. Kvitko concerning this contest or eligibility are final.
And now it's time for Dr. Kvitko's question of the day.
All right, today we are trying to clarify some dental terms. When the dentist says this, people think that. Which of the following pairs go together? A, crown and cap. B, dental implant and screw. C, composite filling and tooth-colored filling. Or D, all of the above pairs are correct. Okay? The winner's going to receive free flowers from DeSantis Florist. They'll be delivered to your place of business this Tuesday afternoon. The number to call, 614-26... Oops, I almost started to give you my phone number. Let's try that again. 614-459-9769. 614-459-9769. So go ahead and call now.
You won't believe it though. I wanna hear your mind. And there's nothing else in the world tonight. She said people don't take the time. Hey, people don't take the time.
Hi, I'm Keith Carlos, winner of America's Next Top Model and star of Chocolate City 2. Look for my smile on the big screen this summer, courtesy of Dr. Kvitko. Stay tuned to The Reasons We Smile with Dr. Kvitko, the world's most interesting dentist.
Hi, I'm Dr. Kvitko, general dentist and host of The Reasons We Smile radio and roadshow. Did you know that you no longer need to visit several different dental professionals to get more complete dental care? We handle everything from cleanings and orthodontics to restoration, implants, and smile makeovers, all in my office. Get the most advanced technology and procedures available today. It's more complete dentistry.
Visit worldsmostinterestingdentist.com for more info about Dr. Kvitko.
Dr.
I'm Johanna, and I've been a dental patient at Dr. Kavicko and Associates for over 10 years. I would really recommend Dr. Kavicko for your family's dental care. They're friendly. They're always there to help me. I feel like family when I walk in the door. It's clean. It's comfortable. Even if I have to bring my kids, they have a great playroom for them. I know when I'm with Dr. Kavicko, they are taking that extra time to make sure that I'm going to be the healthiest I can be. They've been great. I love them.
Call Dr. Kavitko and Associates today, 614-262-9588.
Hi, this is Richard Simmons. Dr. Kavitko's here, and he's going to help you with all of your problems. Are your teeth yellow? He can fix that. Are you missing a tooth? He can put a new one in. How is that?
That's very good. Thank you, Richard. Okay, we're back. We're doing Dr. Kavitko's question of the day. We don't yet have a winner. The number 614-459-9769. 614-459-9769. And the question is, which of these pairs are correct? When I say crown, people think cap. That would be A. B, dental implant, and people sometimes say screw. That would be B. C would be composite filling, being the same as tooth-colored filling. Or D, all of the above pairs are correct. We'll leave the phone lines open while I move on with the show. But if you call, and you'll have a chance to win free flowers from DeSantis Florist. Okay, so what we're doing is this is episode number 608 of The Reasons We Smile with Dr. Kavitko. We're trying to clarify some dental terminology and close the gap between what a dentist might say or a hygienist might say or a dental assistant might say and what a patient might, the words they might use. So, I mentioned post and core, so we'll do that next. Okay, I might say you need a cast post and core. You might think I'm talking about a dental implant. I've had that happen a lot, where a person has a post in their tooth and they think that, well, they already have an implant. And I'm like, no, you don't have an implant. That's a post. You still have your tooth. That's a post that goes inside the nerve, or I'm sorry, inside the root where the nerve had been removed. So like a root canal tooth, and you take out some of the rubbery material to make room for a post, and that gives the strength that you might need to do a crown. Okay. Gingiva. I think we all know the word gingivitis by now. But when dentists talk about the gums, we refer to it as the gingiva. And but if you've been out of dental school for a little bit, you tend to just call them gums because that's the easiest thing for people to grasp. Now, when I say I want to check okay, so let's say I've placed an implant, and I say that I want to check for osseointegration around the dental implant. What I mean is I'm checking to see if new bone cells have grown up to the bone titanium interface. In other words, that things are healing. So I could just say I want to check and make sure your implant is healing in 2 weeks, but that oftentimes that makes somebody nervous a little bit. What do you mean is it healing? Like it's not going to heal? So we call it what it is, which is osseointegration. Bone cells growing up to the titanium interface. Now TMJ, you've probably heard of TMJ. Not sure if you know what TMJ stands for. It stands for temporal mandibular joint. Now the temporal bone is on the side of your head, kind of between your eye and your ear, up high, like the side of your forehead. And so you've heard of TMJ disease, right? And you've heard of it. So that's when you get these like headaches and your jaw hurts when you chew, and sometimes even when you don't. So here's another one. I might say that you need a removable partial denture. You might know it as a bridge, or you might call it a bridge. I've actually had people say that. I left my bridge at home, and I'm like, wait a minute. Bridges are cemented in kind of with permanent cement, so how could you leave it at home? And that's because they call their removable partial denture a bridge. That's one I would like to see go away, because it's very confusing. Okay, now, an amalgam restoration. Silver filling, amalgam filling. I would call them amalgam fillings, and people used to call them silver fillings. Guess what they call them now? They call them mercury fillings, because at some point somebody did a small study and felt that there was leftover mercury in them, and that maybe they were dangerous, and so that's why dentistry has switched to almost all tooth-colored fillings. They were never truly mercury fillings. They were amalgam fillings, but that's what they became renamed. Okay. I might say I need to remove your third molars. And you might go, what? Well, a third molar is also known as a wisdom tooth. So how that designation occurred, I believe, is that, the lifespan used to be much shorter than it is now. I think if you made it to age 40 back in the 1500s, you were considered old. And and so you get your first set of molars when you're 6. You get your second set of molars when you're 12. And you get your third set of molars when you're 18. These are all averages, of course. But back in the day when people only lived to be about 40, you were considered to have wisdom, to be very wise by the time those last set of teeth came in. And chances are, by the time your 12-year molars came in, your 6-year molars had already rotted out because there was no dental care. There were no toothbrushes. And so the 12-year molars kind of took the space that was left over by the 6-year molars. And the 18-year molars, which are the third molars or the wisdom teeth, tended to come in after about the time the 12-year molars would rot out. Okay, so it's just something that we take great care of our teeth now. Most of us, we go to the dentist twice a year like we should, and you no longer lose those 6 and 12-year molars, and so sometimes the wisdom teeth aren't needed, and it's okay if they come in. We don't take any wisdom teeth out because they're not, just because they're wisdom teeth or third molars. If they're in and you're chewing with them, they're perfectly fine teeth. We only take them out when they get stuck. They're below the gum line, below the bone. They're leaning sideways. They're never ever going to come in and work for you. Okay, so I think what we'll do is we'll stop here. We'll go to a break. You're listening to The Reasons We Smile with Dr. Kvitko, and we'll be right back.
You can take me as I am, not just a little bit. I don't know who to be. I'm a paper cup, baby, you're the sea. I know you see it too, 'cause you're too much for me.
This is Clark Kellogg. Stay tuned for more of Dr. Kvitko.
Estás escuchando con Dr. Kvitko aquí en su estación favorita.
Hi, I'm Dominique Reichert. Like what you hear? Why not use the show to promote your product or service by becoming a sponsor? Call 614-262-9588 to learn how. That's 614-262-9588. Call now.
Hi, I'm Dr. Kvitko, general dentist and host of the Reasons We Smile radio and roadshow. I've been honored to help several famous people get a perfect smile, like Keith Carlos and Dominique Reigard from America's Next Top Model, and Ted the Golden Voice Williams from right here in Columbus. Isn't it time you had a celebrity smile? It costs less than you might think, and most of the time, it can be done in one visit. A new smile can make a world of difference.
Visit worldsmostinterestingdentist.com for more info about Dr. Kvitko.
I'm Grandpa, and I go to Dr. Kvitko, and I still have all my teeth. Real ones. Where's my glasses?
We have a winner. Elizabeth in Grove City is the winner of Dr. Kvitko's question of the day. Okay, so let's go back. If you're just joining us, I'm Dr. Kvitko. This is episode number 608 of The Reasons We Smile. And we are trying to clarify some of the dental terminology that you may hear us say that you may not understand, or that we have to understand what you mean. I spend a lot of time trying to make sure I'm grasping what somebody is saying. And so I feel like this is a pretty important topic, honestly, because I don't want to just assume that the person knows what I'm talking about, or vice versa. Okay, deciduous teeth. Anybody know what that is? Deciduous teeth. Deciduous teeth are teeth that are going to be replaced by adult teeth later. They're the baby teeth. They're known as deciduous teeth. You've heard of deciduous trees? They lose their leaves. Kind of the same thing. Okay, maxillary cuspid. Many of you will know this one. A lot of people refer to those as eye teeth. They don't have eyes on them, but they're called eye teeth in a lot of people's minds, because the roots kind of develop up underneath the eye, underneath the orbital bone, so they're way up there. So if you get a toothache in a maxillary cuspid, you can feel like you have a sore eye, just right under there. Okay, but here's one that I learned from a patient years and years ago. You ever heard of a stomach tooth? That's what somebody calls their lower cuspid teeth. They're lower, so the mandibular cuspids, people refer to them as stomach teeth. Okay, I don't think that's the right designation, but I needed to know what they were talking about. So Oh, and here's one that I forgot to write down, but I just remembered because this gentleman, I've seen him. I saw him several years ago. I saw him just maybe 2 weeks ago. And he refers to his gum as the meat. The meat. Because I was trying to explain how, he had broken a tooth off in a work accident. And I said, well, we have to, we have to build this tooth up. We have to do a root canal. We have to do a posting core. We have to do a crown. And I'll have to push the tissue away to make sure I get a good edge there. And he goes, you mean the meat? And I go, I guess. I don't know. The meat. So anyway, he was talking about his gums when he called it the meat. And it didn't matter that I kept calling it gums. He was convinced it was the meat, and I just stopped. Okay, so here's an interesting. People get confused a lot. So you come in, you have a broken tooth. You've chipped your tooth. You got hit with a baseball or a baseball bat. You fell, hit your teeth on the sidewalk, and a corner of your tooth is missing, or the bottom few millimeters. And so it's a tooth that we don't necessarily feel needs a crown, but it does look. We want to make sure it looks nice when you leave. And so we put a tooth-colored restoration. Remember, we call that a composite. Sometimes we put a pin, which I haven't spoken about yet, and I will. And we make it look like it never happened. And so then some people get the mistaken idea that they now have a cap. They now have a crown. Because they're telling me, I have a cap on this front tooth, and I'm looking going, no, you don't. And they're going, yes, I do. I said, well, it's just a big filling that happens to be at the edge of the biting edge of your tooth. So I mentioned a pin real quick. And a pin, think of the pins as rebar. And rebar stands for reinforcement bar, which is used in concrete. You'll see it. They always put this wire stuff in before concrete is poured, and that helps tie everything together. Well, we do the same thing in teeth, where I screw in this little bitty stainless steel pin. Sometimes it's gold anodized. And then I bend it over, and that becomes embedded in the filling, and it gives its support. So that's what we oftentimes wind up doing on somebody who has chipped a front tooth through a sports accident that maybe doesn't quite need a crown. Okay? But anyway, people confuse those as thinking they have a post in there. And you don't. You just have a pin. Okay. So I'm getting the sign that it looks like we're almost out of time. I have a couple minutes. So I think I'll probably save these other ones that I have written down for another show. You might remember that one of the little sound bites you hear is Keith Carlos telling folks that watch for him in Chocolate City 2, and that he's a patient of mine. Well, next week we're going to have, Keith's going to be on the show again. He's actually coming in for another dental appointment. We're going to find out what he's up to. One of the things I believe he's up to is I think he has some kind of a cameo or a short stint on The Bold and Beautiful with the CBS, what do you call it? CBS, soap opera. Thanks. Kind of had my brain dead there. Okay. But anyway, I'm looking forward to that. And Keith, if you're listening, can't wait for you to come. We're going to get to meet Keith's wife and his little boy. He calls him KJ because his name is Keith Jr. And KJ's about 20 months or something like that. I understand he's a little Spitfire, so we're going to find that out. We won't have KJ in the studio, or you won't be able to hear Keith and I am sure. So anyway, and again, congratulations to the Buckeyes for winning, and they are 2-0, which is better than being anything else. So, looking at the time, it looks like it's that time when I do need to... I've got 30 seconds. Okay. So again, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. It's been a joy to bring you this show. I appreciate all of you listeners, and I appreciate all the folks that become patients because they listen to the show. So, that's all the time we have. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter. It's at Dr. Kvitko, and visit my office Facebook page and like us. It's Dr. Kvitko and Associates. Remember that all past episodes, complete with video, are available at thereasonswesmile.com. And again, next week we're going to have Keith Carlos, so don't forget to tune in next week and every week right here on your favorite station. Goodbye.
This is Carly Red from Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, the hit show on VH1, urging you to tune in next week with my dentist, Dr. Kvitko.
If you're interested in learning more about this and other dental health topics, go to thereasonswesmile.com to access full episodes of Dr. Kvitko's show.
If you'd like Dr. Kvitko, the world's most interesting dentist, to speak at your next event, please call 614-262-9588. That's 614-262-9588.